Well, give it a pitch then. What are you
I'm
selling exactly here?
All right, good. Do you know what the blue pill is? The red pill, the black pill, the white pill, the God
It
pill?
seems to be an American thing, but I'm aware of some of the concepts, yes.
Oh, and you're calling from the UK?
I'm calling from Switzerland.
Oh, nice. Nice. Okay. So you know about that stuff.
What the fuck is going on here? Oi, can I...
All right, hang on a second, Pascal.
We had to pass through.
He's
Let's
under
give
the influence.
CPT. He's calling from Australia, and he's.
Oh, yeah. Could you repeat the last few sentences because, yeah, it was rudely interrupted.
Yeah. I'll let my daughter make the case here. Go ahead, Grace. A Swiss guy.
Well, we simply believe that a lot of people's problems can be solved at the root of their family structure by solving their relationship with their father, reconnecting with him, especially for women, but also for men. And that this is not followed by like 98% of the population as it stands. People don't understand that this is the most important thing in your life.
Code. It's a cheat code.
Yeah.
Can I ask for a clarification?
Sure.
Are we talking only the biological father or a father figure in their lives?
Primarily biological father, but if that's not possible, then a father figure. But mostly your actual dad, yes.
All right, continue.
Well, for example, for women, your father is the only man in your life who is at least theoretically guaranteed to, what would you call, affirm you both as a human being and as a woman without looking for favor in response. Any other man you encounter after that, there will at least be some, I don't know how to say it, like there's the possibility for a sexual relationship.
It's your relationship with your father after you hit puberty until you get married is the template for your relationship with men. It's it's like the pattern that's set.
Yeah.
And now from that pattern, you're going to tend to replicate that pattern. For better or worse.
I would agree it would extend to one of a major influence, for sure. Not the only one, but still, for the sake of argument, continue.
Yeah, so that, like, I would say that, let's say you have a large family, traditional. I have 6 kids, so Grace is the oldest. And
congratulations.
Thank you. At a certain point, she naturally, as the oldest daughter, helps her mother with the younger kids because, that's just natural. It helps her mother. It helps me. It helps the kids, but it also helps her in the sense that she starts to have an experience of, taking care of children and having success at that without having all the pressure of, just having your own kids without that experience. So if that's a good experience, she'll want to have her own kids, usually. And also when she becomes a young woman, 9, 10, 11 years old, she starts to have a relationship with her father that is like a kind of playful, sort of like a...
Take your time.
She learns to interact with her father as a man, and in a sense also helps her mother to, like their relationship. It's almost, I would say, almost like a second wife, but obviously in a much lighter sense. In the same way, it's much lighter. She's a second mother. She, wants to help her mother to please her father, and he likes that. And the mother gets, their relationship gets a little less strained, and the kids are helped by that as well. But for the daughter, it helps her to learn how sexual relationships work in the sense of the dynamics between men and women. And again, so that she will want to do that with another man who then her father hands her off to. I do think that's normal, although a lot of people on Discord would say that sounds crazy.
Are you guys together?
Yeah, she's right here.
That's good. I'm glad. Any kids? Just. Any kids?
I do believe when it comes to
We're father-daughter.
I have 6 kids.
Oh, wow, that's your daughter. I'm sorry. Dang, you have
No, I
6
take that
kids.
as a great compliment.
It's a compliment to him.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look young. You look young, man.
Thank you.
For real.
Wow.
You do look
when
young.
it comes to sexual education, I will
Damn.
concede to the point that parents play a very important role into it, but not the only one. I also think there's a societal context. Where I live here, I cannot speak to the US specifically. Sexual education is part of the
Yes.
curriculum as well, which I found important.
I agree with you
Especially
about
when it
that.
comes to
I agree with you about that. I think explicit education on sex should not come from parents, but should come from others.
Ooh.
I think like an uncle figure or a priest figure. You know, when I taught in Catholic schools, I think I taught religion, and so in 11th grade we would talk about sexual issues. I think it's better to have someone like me do that than the parents. Although we should agree on our values, but I think it's. Go ahead. I don't think you should have the talk with your son, and I don't think girls.
I think it's more important that the school should talk about contraception. They should talk about potential risks and benefits.
I mean,
the more
yeah,
scientific side of it.
Your own children won't even ask the parents about it. They'll seek it on their own, won't they?
Yeah, I think that like the problem is if you, let's say I had a conversation with my son who's a little bit younger than Grace when he was about 15 or 16 about pornography and masturbation, because I didn't want him to feel, a lot of kids get, a lot of boys feel like isolated and lonely. We're Catholic, so I didn't want him to feel like, especially I didn't want him to feel guilty and get isolated and wound up about it. But I do regret that because I think you don't want, like, that's a kind of embarrassing thing for boys, and it's better that like an uncle tells them, like, it's normal to jerk off, don't worry about it too much. You know what I mean? Because then it's like, if he had, which he hadn't, said, like, you know, I do have a problem with that, Dad, and like, you know, could I come to you if, like, I'm having that trouble? I think I would say, like, no. It's like, it's embarrassing. Like, don't come to me and go, like, I just jerked off. Like, I wouldn't.
To be fair, I got my first condom off my dad.
You got your what?
I got my first condom off my dad back in the day.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Would you say that the truth is higher than religion?
Ideally, it would be the same.
Okay, so
or religion
which
would be higher than
truth.
truth.
Is the truth? So which religion is the truth? Is my question now.
Well, that actually relates to this because the DaddyPill, I think, the idea is that religion basically is like a return to the Father. So that I think Christianity helps us to return to our Father. Because I didn't know this, but do you know that Islam does not see God as a father?
For somebody who lives in the middle of a Muslim community, I would say that's incorrect.
They don't see God as personal.
Yeah,
I would say the average Muslim on the server doesn't do that, but in practice, and I can tell you, live in a quite progressive city in Switzerland, when there's like a big Muslim community, that's not the case.
Yeah, I think probably in actual
Muslims
fact they end up seeing God as kind of a father, but I think theologically they don't embrace that as much as Christianity.
No, they do. Yeah, they don't. They don't.
I think they see that as too humanizing of God. So they will use terms like a king or Lord, but not so much Father. But I'm sure
not in words per se.
In actual fact, the problem is because if you say Allah is all merciful, Allah is just, Allah will forgive you. Of course, you are personalizing Him. So I don't know how they do it, but I do think Christianity does a better job of just explicitly saying God is a loving Father and He sent His Son to show us how to reconnect with the Father, which is the human condition, you know. But
anyways, you were telling me on the blue pill. I can feel like we were moving a little bit off the topic.
I don't know if it's the blue pill. Is that you think it's the same thing?
The daddy pill. Sorry, whatever you were saying.
Well, I mean,
you
I just
tell
think
me
it's a
about the
variant
daddy
of it.
pill?
I think religion is a variant of the daddy pill.
All right.
And a religion that
Can you tell me?
doesn't embrace the daddy pill, I think is
Tell me
is
about
a
the
problem.
daddy pill.
So the daddy pill is the idea that, as we know, family dynamics are formative, that it forms who we are, and that a good relationship with your
Yeah.
father is the most important part of that, and that your relationship with your mother is not as important, and actually a lot of evil comes through mothers. So it's like that you should really be suspicious of your mother, especially if she's told you to dislike your father, because it's going to ruin your life if you hate your father. The mother, not as important. That's the
And
contention. And that a lot of, for
you're
example,
talking in
a
general,
lot of
right?
people who come in and say they spend years saying, "I'm an atheist. I hate that." You know, really, that this comes from like a bad relationship with their actual biological father, that they project onto politics or theology or things where it doesn't
Then
belong.
the problem is you're working off of a quite specific microcosmos called the United States of America.
Mhm.
Doesn't translate to the rest of Europe
I think it's a
or other
Western.
secular
I
countries.
think it's a Western thing. I don't think it's
I
it's
could say
like
culture-wise, it's completely different in the US compared to Europe. Rarely, religion and politics get mixed.
I think the daddy pill is really necessary wherever feminism has become a major cultural force. So I think
Which is only in the US.
prior to that, oh, there's no feminism in Europe.
Right.
Not the US version.
No,
Yeah,
but
that's
no,
that's
I
not the
do think
question
it's
he
I
asked.
do think it's less intense in Europe, but I do think there's a lot of crossover because we share a lot of ideas and culture, at least in Western Europe with America.
I would say for somebody who lived in the US, has lived in France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and so on, I can say for a fact that none of these cultures altogether have the same culture and are actually completely different than the US, especially when it comes to religion, politics, and so on.
That man just be yapping.
Well, I mean, but you like to say they're different. I mean, you could say that about anything. Obviously, they're not completely
He's
different.
yapping.
And the question would be, how different are they?
Right.
And
Well, you could start with religion. Most of the religious structure in Europe is more Roman Catholic, which is more laid back. That's already a main difference with the US. If you look at how the political systems are operating,
yeah, depending on the
classical
region,
religious
depending on the
parties
region
have-
I
of Europe.
understand that
Yeah.
the father role is super important, but the only way the father can help a child is through the mother.
Oh, that's interesting. How do you mean that?
Well, because even in a natural perspective, the mother is the one that feeds the baby, the breast milk. If I take care of the mother will produce
Oh,
more
yeah. In the early
better
years,
milk.
obviously, in the early years, that's true. I agree with you about that.
That's
Yeah.
still it's still true to this day. My girlfriend, I'm
No, I
taking
mean in
care
the
of her at
early
home.
years
I
of
don't want her to be stressed. I don't want her
yeah.
to eat wrong. I want her to eat right. And that's one way I help my child.
Yeah, I understand that. What I mean is in the early years, not like in the older times, but in the early years of life, that's very important. But once the kids hit like 6, 7, 8 years old, I really think the mother's role is minor.
Kevin.
And
I have 7 around.
a lot of times, mothers do great evil when their kids reach that age. And we as a society
what
should
way?
be aware of that. A lot of times, like for example, a lot of women, it's very rare that you would find a woman who hates babies. But that doesn't necessarily
They do exist.
Yeah, there are people who just like hate all children, but babies are incredible. Like they can't really reject you. They're just so open. They're so needy. Okay, but when children reach a certain age, they can reject you, and there are a lot of women who they don't like kids like that. Like, so when those kids reach that age, they can turn on them. Men, I don't really think care that much if a kid, talks back and stuff like that. There are some men who are super sensitive, but men, Men kind of look forward to kids being old enough to ask questions and take risks and things like that. Men are more oriented towards, preparing the kid for the world, as opposed to like, keeping them alive and, keeping them safe. So I do think that a lot of women become envious of the father's relationship with the children, and they kind of want to keep the kids babies. Do you see what I mean? I don't think men do that. So they may subtly turn the kids against the father, say that he's crazy, that kind of stuff.
Overall, if you look at studies, boys mostly gravitate towards their women, to their moms, and women more to their dad.
Yes, right. And you could say in a certain sense, you end up marrying your mother or your father, like to some extent. If you have a good relationship with your father as a girl, it's likely that the man you will marry will be similar to him in some ways, right? That would be true. But it's also true that if you have a bad relationship with your father, you will replicate that. And I think that's the part that's really important to see, because you would think if a girl had a bad relationship with her father that she wouldn't then get with guys who are like that, but they do. And so you have to really, that's where patterns can be set that continue for generations and generations. You have to break that pattern and figure out what's going on there.
You hate what you become what you hate.
Yes, that's right. That's true. Yes. And that one has to do with hating your mother. So a lot of females say they hate their mother, but they're inevitably I remember when I was in the dating pool, you'd see this beautiful girl, and then you meet her mother and she's fat or whatever, right? And annoying. And I would be reassured because the girl would say, I can't stand her. I'm never going to do that. But you shouldn't take her word for that. She's going to become that woman if she hates her. But if she says, no, it shouldn't be reassuring to you that she says oh, that's gross. I would never, I swear I'll never become like her, because that's not how it works.
I guess that's what forgiveness does to somebody, right? It removes that emotional tie.
Yeah, I do think forgiveness is an important part of that. Yeah, you should.
It's a useless tool.
What's that?
Forgiveness is for the weak.
Forgiveness is for the weak. It depends what you mean by forgiveness, right?
No, when you don't forgive someone, it stays in your subconscious, bro. That shit stays in your subconscious, no matter what.
I think you should either forgive someone or you should seek justice against them. But just letting it eat away at you and saying, I need to move on, is the worst of both worlds.
You will always feel some type of way, oh, fuck that person, oh, fuck her. It's just those emotional ties we were talking about. They will always be there unless
if it's apparent. If it's apparent. With other people, I think you can say whatever, if it's minor. But those wounds with the parents have to be resolved, I think, for you to be able to genuinely move on as a person.
And how you connected that to the parents is wild. It's insane. You hating my mom for
what
anything.
I think is interesting about it is because a lot of people don't see things this way. That those who see things this way have a cheat code, like in a video game, where it's so much easier to get through life this way. So, for example, I tell a lot of females are kind of they're either angry at men or they're kind of angry at men, and they come across as sort of I'm not into it. But if you were a young woman who openly says,
that's quite a local phenomenon.
Well, I think it happens in different places. It could be more or less in different places. But if you're a young woman who says, I love men, and I love masculinity, I think you'll just be much more successful in life than women who kind of say nah, I don't really like that, because masculinity combined with femininity is incredibly powerful, but femininity on its own is the weakest of all. A man by himself can do something. but it's not great. But a woman on her own can't really do anything. And I know it's probably better in Europe, but like here in the United States, I think something like one out
Yeah,
of
I
every
would just say that all my friends who are successful and are women by
Yeah.
themselves, that's an overgeneralization that I would fully disagree with.
Well, here I'm just saying, use one argument. 1 out of every 3 or 4 females is on like major drugs that have nothing to do with like a physical disease, but like our mental drugs to try to keep this person from going, from acting insane, and mental illness is rampant. So, yeah. So I think
Actually, if you look
Captain-
at the stats a little bit more deeper, there's more men with psychological problems and pills than women these days. Unfortunately.
No.
Yep.
Not in America. I don't think that's true at all. It's much lower among men,
According
but
to
it's
latest
high.
of
But it's
Johnson &
high.
Johnson.
But it's high. But I would. But so let's. If you say Captain Obvious, you're saying that women who are disconnected. I'm not saying like you. I'm saying like if your dad dies or something, okay, fine, you can be perfectly fine. But women who are not connected with masculinity, and are independent are failures always. Do you disagree with that?
But it really depends on where you live and what support network you have. Access to education, access to welfare, access to decent healthcare, societal structures.
Yeah, I don't think any of that matters.
In the nation,
I don't think any of that
matters a lot.
matters. I don't think any of that matters.
And if you see an example in my country, that makes a major difference compared to US, where the healthcare is kind of mid.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Education level is shit as well.
I think what you're saying
It
is that
plays a role.
women can like survive and have a place to live if the society gives them that. But I just don't think they're contributing much. If they're not
What
connected
about like
to
teachers
men.
and nurses? Are they not like contributing very much?
What's that?
Teachers and nurses, do they contribute a lot?
Teachers and
Yes.
nurses. Yeah, I'm not here saying that teachers and nurses don't contribute, but I'm saying, of course, women can make great contributions. I don't think you heard it, but like I was saying, women who become disconnected with masculine energy, usually that starts with their fathers. I think even as teachers or nurses, they become, like terrible teachers, kind of cold nurses, and so I think, it's not so much teaching or nursing or things that women do, but I think that whether they're connected with what I would say like daddy energy makes the difference between whether what they're doing is gonna work.
It plays a role, but it's far from the only factor.
Yeah, you could say I'm
would you make
exaggerating the role. That's no problem. Yeah.
Would you make the like could we like skip a lot of this and make the assertion that emotionally mature and healthy people are better for society than just women with no father figures? I mean, because we could say the same thing about like men with no father figures, right? I mean, there's a bunch of men that I know with no father figures who are fucking deplorable. So like, what we could actually say is,
well, it's
people
not
who
so
are
much
emotionally-
no father figures, because I don't think that's as bad as like just a frayed relationship with a father figure.
or like a shitty
and I do
father,
think it
yeah,
affects.
like,
I do think it
bad
affects
one.
women more than men, because women are more contingent. In other words, they need that more than men. But I do think it deeply
Men
affects
have the
men.
same
Yeah.
kind of issue with their moms, though. I think men have the same kind of issue with their moms. Sometimes their dads. It depends on the men. I think there is a varying case, but when it comes to it, it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, when people have bad relationships with their parents, we can draw a line that parents today aren't as caring as parents past, and now
True.
there's more shitty people.
But what I'm saying with the mother is actually, so this is what I would say, but you can disagree. But I would say having like being disconnected from your mother because she's just like a bad person, but having a really good relationship with your father, you're fine. You're fine, male or female. You're fine. It's not perfect, but like you'll be fine. But having a close relationship with your mother and disconnected from your father is lethal, especially if the mother has alienated you from your father. So it's very different, even though you might say, well, that seems like the same thing, especially for girls. So I would say it's it has a way in which it fleshes out. Although I would say, obviously, you could
other
You could say
external
parents
I
should
think there's
communicate
definitely
in
like
law.
exceptions to that, and I can see what you're saying. 'Cause,
Yeah,
I mean,
give me an
personally,
exception.
I had a
Give me an
very
exception. Give me an exception.
I think I would be an exception.
Okay.
I feel like I'm a pretty
All right.
emotionally mature
Perfect.
person. I had a really shitty relationship with my dad, and I feel like it made me a better person because I had to learn how to be a man without that.
Okay, yeah. So
My
okay.
relationship with my mom's not the best sometimes, but like I've through the shitty relationship with my mom, I've learned how to build better relationships with people.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like there are exceptions to people.
Okay, but you're not an exception. You're not an exception because I would say as a male, you're better off in this situation, so it's not as devastating. But you're also not saying like
I can give you a
I have
real example.
this. Hold on one second. I would just say like the purest counterexample would be if you had a really great relationship with your mother, you were female, and you had a terrible relationship with your dad. Then and yet you're like perfectly fine. Then I would say that's a counterexample. I would say in your case,
Gotcha.
I don't think you. And I would say that this is my question with you because I actually with my father, I would say a lot of people would see it as a negative relationship, but I love and respect him, and I know what happened that made him sort of. I mean, he sort of worships my mother, so I'm not angry at him, although I used to be.
If it's a lovely lady, it's a lovely lady.
Oh, she's not a lovely lady. She's a monster. My mother.
Yeesh.
She's a literal narcissist. So, but that's fine. I mean, I understand he just, sort of. So I love him, but I don't think you have to have a great relationship like that. You guys like talk all the time. I just think you need to not be angry at your father.
See, I was for a long time. My dad is like my dad's like actual monster. Like.
Oh, okay.
Take Frank Gallagher from like Shameless and then make him like even worse and make him evil. That's my dad.
Oh, let me dig into that a little bit.
Mom,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay.
Go ahead. No. Tell me about your
mom.
mom. Tell me about your mom.
My mom's a cool lady, right? Like she was kind of, she had me in prison, right? So she already wasn't off to a good start, but
she had you put in prison?
How,
is that what you said?
No, she had me while she was in prison.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But whenever she got out, she always made sure I knew how to defend myself. If she couldn't teach me something that she knew a man should know, she would have one of her male friends teach me.
Okay.
And even things like, I mean, like she tried playing catch with me a lot, but like she would like fucking nail us in the head with a baseball.
But wait a second. What you got to give me a little more background. So obviously your dad got your mom pregnant. Did they get married?
Yeah.
Were they together?
My dad was a gangbanger. My dad was a Latin king.
Okay. But I mean, did they? But I'm saying, was it a one night stand? I'm not trying to throw shade on your mother or your dad. But
no, you're good. So my dad has 17 kids, 5 of which are to my mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he's Hispanic or he's Latino.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 17 kids. Yeah.
But he has a lot of baby mamas.
Yeah.
But your mom.
I'm the oldest.
He has 17 kids. How many different baby mamas does he have?
I don't know. I only know how many siblings I have because I'm the oldest, so I plan on tracking everybody down and like making sure everybody's good.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay, yeah. Good for you.
But I think it's like I want to say it's maybe 6. I want to say 6. I want to say 6
different women. So your mother had the most kids, probably.
Yeah. I think somebody else had 3.
And she first? Was she the first?
Yeah, my mom was the first. I'm his oldest kid.
So in a sense, he had like a harem. Is that kind of what it was?
I mean, he moved on. Like it wasn't like it was never at the same time. Well, he did cheat on my mom one time, but my mom only let that slide one time.
So he moved on from woman to woman. Is what you're saying? He didn't stay in good.
Yeah.
Okay. So he had a series of monogamous relationships. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so ultimately, like, I had to learn because again, he's also like, he's also, when he was 26, he slept with a 16-year-old, which is like super fucked up.
I mean, in Hispanic gang culture, that's not really seen as.
Yeah, no, it's not unheard of, but he's a shithead. Like, ultimately, he's a shithead, but it's not unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, it like in that culture, like it's like.
Yeah.
It's not like little kids where they would kill him, right? For if it was a little kid.
Yeah. Well, the thing is my dad was also a coward as a Latin king, and so they like they beat the fuck out of him, and like he like now half of his face is paralyzed, and he like smiles funny.
He was what as a Latin king? He was what as a Latin king?
Oh, he was like just a piece, like a loser, like a scaredy cat, a pussy, a coward.
So who beat the
He ran
shit out
off.
of
He
him?
ran
His
off.
own gang?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Other gang
Yeah,
members?
they beat the fuck out of him.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's not
Uh,
really. You think it's a pussy to be in a violent gang?
No. I just mean like
I-
that's why they beat his ass. Not because
Mm.
I'm not calling him that. That's just why they beat his ass.
Yeah, but I mean, having your dad be
yeah,
a
I mean-
gangbanger is. I do think a lot of
Yeah.
gangbangers are pussies, but like in a certain way, obviously,
Well,
it's kind of a rough
and, like,
environment.
Yeah, he was like and like it was a ultimately
But-
he got the treatment for the lifestyle that he played.
But-
Like
Oh,
it's-
is he dead?
No. He's alive, but
Oh, okay.
he converted to Islam in prison, so now he's a Muslim.
Oh, okay. But let
which
me
I don't-
go back
that's,
with
like,
you. Let
probably
me go
the best
back
thing
with you.
that's ever happened.
Let me go back with you because you're giving me a lot of information. Okay, so
Sure.
just because I just want to get this right. So your dad never married your mom.
No.
Okay, so when she got pregnant,
Yeah.
she was hoeing a little bit, right? Was she Spanish too?
No. My mom's a white. My dad's a
Okay.
Middle Eastern Puerto Rican, and my mom's a
Okay.
white lady.
Okay, but so when she, like, unless your dad raped her, like, she was hoeing, right?
Why? No, why?
Well, if you just have sex with a random, I mean, look,
Oh, they
I don't
were,
know
like,
what kind
together.
of white
They were,
woman
like,
your
high-
mother
they were, like,
was,
together
but
in high
like,
school.
you know, if she was I don't know,
Yeah.
if she was like a suburban white
So-
woman, to have sex
So
with
she had- so
a
she had me in
gangster
high-
is
she
kind
had
of
me when
hoe
she-
behavior, no?
She had me when she was 19. She
Yeah.
met him when they were like 16. Like they met in high school. They were together for like 3 years before they had me.
Okay, so they were like high school sweethearts. So it wasn't like
Yeah,
they
like,
met at
were,
a
like,
party
that's
or
why she had to
something.
make kids.
Okay, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's
no, it was,
interesting.
they were together for a long time.
Okay,
my
and-
dad was around for the first like 2 or 3, maybe 4 years of my life.
Oh,
but
okay.
It didn't last very long.
So it was kind of like they were married. They acted kind of like they were married. They lived together.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah.
So she had 5 kids in that time.
No, there was like so. I'm 23. My younger sister is 20.
Yeah.
My younger brother is 20. My other younger brother who lives with me is 18, and my youngest sister is 13.
Oh, so over 10 years.
So like he came back. He came back and married. He.
Your mother got
he
with him
came back
again
and,
after a long.
Not married.
They got married then. Is that what you said?
No, not married. Not
Oh.
married. He came back and at like 10 years later, and got with my mom again.
Yeah.
And
She got
it
pregnant.
was like it led to my youngest sister, who I love to death, but
Mhm.
it was a.
So all
it was
five,
a
all
bad-
5 of you are by the same dad,
Yeah, all 5 of us. By the
and
same
there's no other dad.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not.
So your mom
no,
only had one baby daddy, you could say.
Yeah. My mom
Okay.
only had one baby.
But what
Um,
I'm saying is not to throw shade on your mother, but like, why didn't she? If they were going together for 3 years, he's from a Hispanic family. Why didn't he put a ring on it? Why didn't she say you got to put a ring on it before we start having kids?
So, it just wasn't like poor people. Not really something that was in the cards, I guess. Like when you're poor, you don't really think about that kind of shit, I guess. Especially when
Cause she a hoe.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if
I
I'd
do
say
think
that.
that's a little bit true. That like, I mean, she's a little bit of a hoe. I mean,
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like if you're in a relationship for 3 years, and it wasn't like. So
I'm not
here's what
saying
happened, right?
I'm
Because-
not saying she's like a total party girl slut, but like I'm saying
No,
you don't have to do much to get married. I mean, I've been, like the Catholic Church will marry
Yeah, I
you
mean-
pretty much, and like
Yeah,
you
but
don't
so
need to
when you're,
spend
like-
any money. But like
she wasn't
she
able to
didn't
get the
have,
abortion
she was
first.
lacking. I would say she was lacking kind of self-respect. Now that probably comes from
I can-
her
I can see
family
that.
background.
Yeah.
Like I bet she didn't come from a family in which her dad like really really cared about her. Because he would have
her
said
stepdad did. Her
don't
stepdad.
go sleeping with guys and getting pregnant, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, her stepdad did, and they both disapproved of Matthew a lot. Like her mom and her stepdad. Thank God I had him around because he was probably about the closest thing to a father figure I had. They disapproved of Matthew a
Your
lot.
mother's father?
My mother's stepfather.
Stepfather.
Yeah. His name
Okay.
is Nick.
What happened to her father?
he-
What happened to her father?
His name was Troy. He was a fucking monster too.
Okay,
He
so
was a
you
fucking
keep,
monster.
but in your family history, you see all of the biological males as monsters, but you don't want to say that the women are hoes.
Look, no,
And
my
see,
mom,
I think
I
that's a
have
little bit of a
criticism.
problem.
Listen, I have criticism for my mom, right?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I have a lot of criticism for my mom, but ultimately, like, I consider myself a strong male figure in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, you do
specifically
sound
my
like a good
siblings,
guy. Yeah, you sound like a good guy.
because
You
my
don't,
mom raised me. So like where I have criticism for my mom, I also have good things to say about my mom. With a lot of the males in my family,
Mhm.
I don't have the experience with them to say anything good about them. What I do have to
True.
say about them is, like, I mean, for example, like my dad, right? My dad, I can say a positive thing about him right now. He converted to Islam. He's been on the straight and narrow, been working construction work. Still on the run from the cops because he
Yeah.
has warrants out for his arrest. But ultimately, he's working like hard working jobs and like
Yeah.
trying to do good by people.
Yeah,
I can say that about him.
and I can actually hear that in your voice, because if you there are guys I talk to who are like really think their dad is a monster, and they'll just start screaming at me. But I hear that you have a balanced view. But I'm just suggesting to you that you might like benefit by seriously considering just looking at it again through what I call what I would call like the DaddyPill lens, and saying like, okay, this one, I think you're not saying like, how dare you say this about my mother? Okay, you're not saying your mother's perfect. Okay, but I'm just saying if
No,
you
my
just
mother's not perfect.
take aside the fact that it's your mother and that you have a natural way in which you want to protect her, and I'm not trying to insult your mother. I don't know her personally, right? So just saying, as a woman, she was hoeing a little bit.
Well, here's the
By
thing, and this
not
is why
saying
here's
to
the
your
hard thing.
dad, who was Hispanic, put a ring on it at least before we have kids. I understand people are going to have sex, but like, put a ring on it before we have kids, because I want to be legit.
Yeah.
And even if we fuck
the
up
thing is
later,
this-
even if it fucks up later, but she's saying at least I could say, to my kids, like, I didn't want to bring kids into this world without them having a father, not like a baby daddy. You see what I'm saying? That argument could be made. But go ahead.
That's the reason why she never got with any other men other than my dad, is because like she like growing up, she didn't have a boyfriend. Like she had a boyfriend, but he wasn't allowed to stay over or anything because she didn't want like random men coming in and out of her lives. Like she didn't want that. So like when she had a relationship, unless she knew it was serious,
your mom
introduce him
sounds
to
like she
us.
was a good girl. Like she was like she was devoted to your dad,
she
let
just-
him back into your
which
lives
was a
after
shitty idea
10
to do,
years.
yeah.
Yeah. This guy's really interesting. This is my daughter Grace, by the way.
Hello.
This guy's really interesting.
Hi, Grace.
So I'll try to give her the TLDR
Yes.
on this guy who's
Okay.
really he's a really interesting case.
What does
This guy.
TLDR mean, by the way? What's
Too
TLDR mean?
long, didn't read.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah, got you.
Or maybe
Also,
you
great
want to do
YouTube
it, Grace.
channel, check
So,
out.
but I'm trying to catch him. You know what I'm saying? He's setting things up. He says his dad's a monster, but he also says some really nice things about his dad. So I don't know. I think he's got two. I don't think he's ever resolved it. He said he loves his mom, but he does have criticisms of her. Okay, and she had a really good stepfather, but that her biological father, his mother's biological father, was also a monster.
Well, that guy, his name was Troy, and he like was actually just like not even like he was a violent rapist. Like Troy was an actual monster.
Okay,
my dad's like Frank Gallagher, so he's kind of funny, but ultimately, like my dad was just a shitty dad.
Okay, so his dad was a Latin king. Had 5 kids by his mom. His mom was the high school sweetheart that he had kids with initially, and then stayed with for 4 or 5 years. Then bounced to another baby mama. He has 17 kids.
Yeah.
Came back to the mom after like, I don't know.
years.
I imagine
And-
a few
and
baby
during
mamas.
this time,
So he
my
was kind of
mom was
like one of
trying to
these
help
guys,
me
like
get
I
on-
have kids all over the neighborhood kind of guys. But also had 5 kids with her. Didn't have an abortion, right?
He had 5 kids within 5 years.
He had 5 kids. See,
No,
I wrote the ages down. 4 of them.
It was-
Oh.
Then he bounced, according to Valtava. We haven't got to that part of the story. Then came back to her because she was, if you want to say she was the first.
Well,
they
the reason
they
that
were
he came
close,
back to her, the reason that he came back to her is because he got released from prison and he had nowhere to go. And my mom was like, "Well, if I help him, then he can see his kids a little bit more." And so she helped him. She let him stay with us, and that's when she got pregnant. and then she helped him get his own. She co-signed a different apartment for him because ultimately,
Yeah.
like as even though she got pregnant, she like you wouldn't know these motherfuckers liked each other ever if you interacted with them. They like they were always arguing. So
Well, I got to give your
like,
mother
she
credit.
helped-
So
co-signed
she
him-
had
yeah,
5 kids.
co-signed him.
The man wasn't involved in her life for most of her life. Never had a kid by another man, right? Whereas he had,
Yeah.
I think, Volta was saying like 6 baby mamas by the end of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
like he had a lot.
But in a certain way, she was, let's say, special. But he didn't have 6 baby mamas at the same time. So
it was.
so
Yeah.
we're at like, so I'm trying to get him to see that they were high school sweethearts, but that she should have said to him, put a ring on it before she got herself pregnant. And he's kind of saying like, nah, I don't see it that way. Okay, so I'll leave you there. I'll leave you there. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. So I've criticized my.
Thank God, no smoking inside.
Weapon?
He's going out.
Thank God, no smoking inside.
Yeah, I've criticized my mom for like being with this
Hello?
man like quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I've had quite a few things to say about it to her because I'm like, why the fuck were you like? Why did you do that? Like that was such a dumb idea to be with this man, obviously. But like, in the same breath, like, so like again, like when my mom knew that she couldn't teach me something that a man needed to teach me, she had her male friends teach me. Like she would have like, there's this one guy, he was an older dude, his name was B. He would come over and they would shoot the shit. My mom's a big pothead, so they smoked weed, and he taught me how to fight. So like now I know how to fight, and he also taught me in the same breath, that I shouldn't always be fighting because that's something I was doing because I was mad that I didn't have a dad, so I was like always fighting people. Taught me that I shouldn't be fighting all the time. So there's some good stuff that like my mom did. She also was like a fucking super angry lady, and she hit me over the head with a vacuum cleaner one time. So like, my mom was also like, I have criticism of my mom. It's just that for all the criticism I have of my dad, I have as much praise for my mom because my dad wasn't there. If my dad was there, I'm sure I'd have better things to say about him, but he wasn't. So it kind of like, because he chose not to be there, which was a choice. There was parts of it that were a choice. There was parts of it that weren't, but there was a lot of it that was a choice.
Can I ask, out of the 5 kids, like, are you the youngest, middle, oldest?
I'm the oldest out of all 17.
Oh, okay. I'm the oldest out of 6. Not even close to the numbers, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm the oldest out of 17. So. And right now, one of my siblings are living with me. And well, 2 of them were, but one of them moved out. But right now, one of them's living with me. I'm the peacekeeper of the family. I have to make sure everything's cool. Oldest
Kids have that role a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially when because my mom has grown a lot. Like my mom has really grown a lot. I don't know if it's because she's just older now and she can't, swing her hands as fast, but she definitely has grown a lot. I remember one time she pulled me, one day she woke me up and had me go to a diner with her, and she started crying. She's like, I just want to say thank you for teaching me how to be a mom. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're welcome. But my mom's cool. My mom's a cool lady. She just has had her issues, but ultimately she had me in prison. So I can't be too critical of her because that's a pretty good comeback. You feel me? There's a lot of people who
wait. What did you just say? She had you imprisoned? Is that what you said?
She had me in prison while she was in prison.
Yeah, he just admitted he was a cocaine addict. It was a sad story.
Wait. So
my mom had me while she was in prison.
She had you while she was in prison, so she got pregnant and then went to prison?
Yeah, she got pregnant and went to prison. I think she.
Oh,
it's
okay.
The story is that she took the blame from my dad, but we really don't know what it was. My mom won't talk about it because it was a sensitive thing for her.
Yeah.
But
if you ever want to talk about it and you feel bad, I can recommend BetterHelp.com. There's a lot of good licensed therapists.
This motherfucker's advertising.
Now for our commercial break.
Bro's getting paid right now.
Get a professional therapist. Doesn't have to be the website I mentioned, but it can be quite good.
Oh my god, dude, this guy already knows you can go to therapy. Everybody knows you. It's no offense, but it's really annoying to tell people they can go to therapy. Everybody already knows that.
Actually, that's actually a problem. People don't get the message a lot, unfortunately.
No, yeah, and that's the other thing. I had my ups and downs in life just as a person with lots of troubles. I just completed drug and alcohol counseling, so I'm cool.
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 23.
Oh.
I had to like put myself in because I was like partying way too much, and I have an issue where I just overindulge in things sometimes. Like I didn't have an addiction per se, but when I would party, I would like just do everything, and that was like not good. So I had to go learn like just ways to not, because I like partying. I do. Like I had to like really decide, like, do I enjoy doing this? Yeah, I enjoy going out and letting loose a little bit, but not to that extent. Because I OD'd twice in January. I OD'd twice in January.
Wow.
So and this was just because I was just doing too much. Like I was going out and partying every fucking night, and so my current girlfriend, great lady, she was like, hey, you gotta like get your shit together. I'm like, damn, you're kind of right, lady. And
Can I ask
so
you a
then I got my
question?
shit together.
Are you
What's up?
afraid of becoming your dad?
I was for a while. I was for a while, but I know now that I'm like, because I look like the guy. So like, some
Well,
super
I'm not
genetics,
saying
but-
you. I'm not saying you're scared you'll look like him. I'm saying, you know what I mean, like
I'm
act
just
like
saying,
him.
I would look in the, I'm saying, yeah, I would look in the mirror and I'd be like, damn, I kind of look like that guy. Like I would get really mad and feel like I was turning into him. But like as I got older, I just realized like I'm just a different breed. I'm just not that guy. Like there's times where like my anger like gets the best of me, but like even with my anger, I still handle it 100 billion times better than he ever did. So it's like there's no part of me that like is afraid of that. I mean, I'm worried about like having kids too soon because I want to enjoy my life and experience.
You cut out. You just cut out.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you're back.
Ironically, yeah. So, I'm worried about having kids too soon, but like not because I'm afraid of being my dad, just because I want to be the best kind of dad I can be. But like, yeah, there's no part of me that's afraid. I am afraid of my younger brother who lives with me becoming my dad. Like he's like on a teeter between becoming me or becoming my dad. I really want him to like follow in my footsteps and not my dad's, but he's a little bit more hot-headed than me. He has a little bit more of my dad. So I'm working with him to like, because the thing that I had to teach him is that he needs to choose peace when it comes to like fighting and shit. My younger brother loves to fight, and so like I'm putting him in UFC classes so that he can like, or MMA classes so that he can like have that outlet. I'm literally working 2 jobs to like support me and my younger brother right now.
Wait a minute. You know,
And
actually,
one of
it's
them
really interesting for Grace. Okay, Valtava, you obviously have been made into a father figure in your family by your mother.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like this is more problematic than you might think, because you're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn out.
You're gonna resent it.
You're-
Well, he's OD'd
listen,
twice. He OD'd twice last January.
That
So
you are
you're
taking
kind of
on a
preaching
burden
to the
you shouldn't
choir.
take on. It's not proper
You're
for you to act
preaching
like
to the
a father
choir
to
right
your
now, 'cause
younger
I actually
brother.
I just had this conversation with my mom actually earlier today. I was like, yeah, listen, I'm like not feeling good about like always helping people and always making things happen and no one ever doing it for me. I'm going back to school. Like I just told her like, yeah, I'm going back to school. I'm not going to be able to help everybody for a little
No.
while, and I need you guys to be cool with that.
Your mother
because that's
sounds like
literally-
healthy in the sense like she's not trying to make you into her husband. I'm sure she's never like made moves on you sexually, but like
No, yeah, never like that. No.
But even
he did
emotionally,
put a lot of
like
responsibility.
if you and your mom are talking about like your younger siblings a lot like 2 parents, like you have an unhealthy thing there. Maybe.
It was unhealthy because so my younger sister is like a fucking. I love my younger sister to death. I'm literally facing charges because of my younger sister and her choices. I love my younger sister to death.
you keep talking like a parent to your siblings. Like I'd be
and-
a little bit
that's
careful
because-
about
that's-
like doing this daddying thing to them because you're not their
No,
daddy.
listen, you're right. You're right. It's just the
Why?
thing
Here's
is
my
that, like,
question to you: why isn't their daddy doing this?
Because and that's where I say like he's kind of a shithead. You know, he doesn't.
Okay,
He's not. there to do
what
it.
I want to know is, in a certain sense, your dad looks like a fucking baller, right? He's got bitches lined up, coast to coast. He's got
I don't
16
admire his
kids.
lifestyle.
He's a
I personally don't
gangster,
admire the
right?
lifestyle.
Okay, like so. I in a certain way, he's like he could make a rap song about your dad, and say
Sure,
like,
but like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't admire the lifestyle. I think that it's a not very fulfilling lifestyle filled with.
But my question is,
problems
he
that
probably
never
agrees
did.
with you, right? He probably didn't tell you all to become gangsters in the Latin Kings,
Yeah.
right?
No, yeah, no. Well, no, but he did instill like so. My younger brother went to live with my dad for a little bit, and now like I'm working to undo.
See, here's another good thing about your dad. He like I just think like you're not seeing like how much easier this would be if instead of you playing the dad, you let your dad be the dad and you be the son.
Wait, what happened when your brother went to live with your dad?
So my mom and my younger brother were like having it out all the time because my younger brother like robbed a liquor store and was like being an asshole and doing all this fuck shit, and he went to like Job Corps and got kicked out and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, "Listen, you can't stay here anymore. You got to go live with your dad." And so she sent him to live in Florida with my dad, and then my dad taught him how to steal like fucking credit cards, and it was like a whole thing. And this was before my dad went to prison and turned to Islam, but so I would love to let my dad be a dad, right? It's just right now, like, because everybody looks to me, like, I'm like, again, this is why I'm going to school, and I'm leaving the town I live in so that I can get away from all this. Because, like, ultimately, if
I agree.
I think the thing is,
I agree.
When people come to you who care about you, you're gonna want to help them, right? Even if you know that it's not good for you, you're gonna want to. So I'm thinking if I leave,
but you could be in fucking Australia. You're gonna respond to the call because you've been put in this position, and I'm not saying that's bad, but like. Yeah, I just really don't understand. If your dad turned to Islam, that means he's actually like sort of repudiated all of the bad behavior, at least theoretically. So
I do. Yeah,
why not encourage your mother and yourself and your siblings and his other kids and his other baby mamas to like support him because he has like a fucking town that's like his progeny. That's going to like
he has kids all over. So he has kids in New York City, he has kids here, he has kids in the town that he's in right now, which is like 40 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And so the 3 kids that live there in that town that he's in right now, he's cool to them. Like he's always at their graduations and all this other stuff. Like he's doing really good with them. I think that if more kids were able to reach out to him and get to him, then he'd be a better dad.
So you're saying he doesn't respond to you if you communicate with him?
No. He just called me like a little bit ago. Like he is getting better. It's just, I mean, it's a little bit too late for me personally, but for my other siblings, it'd be great. I already did all my development, I think. I mean, like, the only thing
that's not true. I hate to tell you this. You seem like you're a good guy, but you're of course you're free to pursue this, but like you have not got that straightened out. And if you want to suffer and not get it straightened out, that's up to you. But you could resolve this much more easily. See how you talk over me because you don't. You talk over me because you don't want me to make this case to you, but that's okay. But
no. Go ahead. I'll let you finish, but I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I don't get like a sense of huge hostility here. I'm just suggesting to you, you can take it or leave it, but if you downplayed the extent to which you get it, and you're going to be like the person who gives advice in the family, because I don't think you actually are there, and you like are fine to judge your dad and say he's a monster. And you said that like you think it's fitting that his face is half paralyzed because he was doing gangster shit. Like that's a very harsh thing to say about your father. I don't think you're. I mean, I know that there's other sides to you that do appreciate him, but like I think if you gave him an enormous more amount of respect, that your life would become way easier.
Wait, hang on a second, though. I have a question, because I have a lot of empathy for him as an oldest child who is...
1 second. So, hold on. I am at work.
Yeah.
And there's I work security. There's a guy coming in. I will 1 second. I'll turn my camera on. Give me just a second.
You're a rent-a-cop.
You're a security officer. No, I have a question, though. I don't understand. Dad, his dad was irresponsible, had a bunch of kids, and then... Whoa.
I wouldn't say necessarily that's the case. He was high school sweethearts with this guy's mother. Mm-hmm. Had got her pregnant without putting a ring on it.
An immigrant gangster who should never have been in this country in the first place.
Well, he might be a citizen. I don't know.
Oh, Juice found us. What's up, Juice?
Okay, stayed with her for 3 or 4 years, and then she says he cheated on her. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, you weren't married. Not really cheating.
True.
Okay.
True.
Then he moved on, but always had the kids, right? And seems like generally was interested in supporting the kids. Where is the irresponsibility? I don't quite get it.
17 kids with 6 baby mamas? That's not
I
irresponsible.
think he said 16 kids.
16 kids with 6 baby mamas?
I think you could say that's not ideal. But I mean, if a part of man's job is to sow his seed, like he has certainly fulfilled that task.
Well, yeah. I would agree, but
I mean, he's a reproductive baller. So, like, compared to an incel, sorry, all the other people on Discord. I mean, he's kind of a baller. He's definitely. But I agree. I'm not going to say this situation is objectively perfect. But you know, an interesting thing I was thinking about Valtava. He wants to get all of those kids together.
yeah.
And I think that could be a little bit risky because say some of them are like near his age. If you meet your half sister, you're a male, you meet your half sister, you've never interacted with her, all of a sudden you could create tensions and problems. You know what I mean? That are
Okay. So,
you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. But wait. No.
Because
Can we
you
just
would be very
focus on?
attracted to
Can we
those
just
people.
focus? Can we just focus
Okay.
on one point though? How is he supposed to show his dad a lot of respect when, from his point of view? And it's very understandable that he thinks this.
This is what I'm saying.
Let me answer.
He
Let me
needs to
finish saying.
reconsider his point of view, and that's why we're going through it. And I'm going, wait a second.
Okay, but how is he? But his dad left him to be parentified by his mother, and
Well, that you say he left him. I don't know. Maybe he didn't leave his kids so much as he couldn't deal with their mother.
So
I don't know.
I mean,
Okay.
listen, I won't lie. There was a lot of tension between them. There was a mutual split, and it was shitty. The thing is that my mom gave him every instant. She co-signed a house for him where he lived close by so that he could be close by. He just kept going to prison. Like that was really why. All right,
wait. Well, let me ask you this question about your mom and dad. Does your mom kind of think she's the responsible one and he's irresponsible?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that sounds like she's kind of a mommy to him. And that's unhealthy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, here's the thing, right? When you have somebody who's 18, 19, having kids, right? I don't think either of my parents are ready to have kids, right? Like, and that's why
I would say
when
probably.
I say like, I don't. Yeah, that's why I. Say
I mean, your
when I have
mother
kids,
gave
I want
birth to you
be,
in prison. Why was she in prison?
It's complicated.
It's pretty hard to get into
Smuggling?
prison as a woman. I've tried to get
he
women
said
in
it was
prison.
for cocaine,
Drugs.
something like that.
Well, no, it wasn't for cocaine. That guy
Oh.
was just saying shit.
Okay.
It was just. They were just smuggling.
It was a joke.
Hold on. One second.
Oh,
It's hard to
One
get like,
second. I think there's somebody.
especially if you're a pregnant woman. It's really hard to get thrown in jail. And that, like, judges are going to want to do everything
I
they can
agree.
to not have a pregnant woman thrown in jail. So this idea, like, see, he doesn't want to say like mom was a criminal.
well, he said he doesn't
What?
really know, and she never talked about it. And there's some kind of
Could
theory
you
that
turn
she
off
was.
his webcam?
that-
His idea is on the table.
Was she smuggling
Oh.
drugs for the gang, maybe?
I don't know how to turn off his webcam.
Well, mostly I'm in jail as a pregnant woman for narcotics, so not a bad guess.
I'm
He's
sure it had something to do with his gang activities, but I'm just saying. Here's my
No matter
contention.
what, she's a hoe. She's a hoe.
I do think there is a hoe factor here that is like just being glanced over. Yes, a lot of young people don't get married, but you're with a guy for 3 years in high school. Then you have not one, not two, not three. You have 4 kids with him, and nowhere along the line are you saying like,
yeah,
you know,
right,
it's
right.
not even a one-off, and then like let's put a ring on it.
That is crazy.
Because as a woman, Grace, I think you would say, okay,
And then a 5th.
well, and then a 5th to try to maybe get him back in. But like, so what I'm saying is like, as a woman, when you take a dick, and we all know that, you know, there are ways to avoid getting pregnant, but if you're not doing those things, yeah, there are accidents that happen, but they don't happen 4 times in 4 years, right? So
oh yeah,
you
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of say like, you get it, and I think I doubt she had a lot of abortions in between any of this, right? So you're saying I'll bring a kid into the world
actually-
without locking the daddy
Yeah.
down for that kid. That's not good mothering.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
So
That's
so
a mother's
the thing with
job
my
because
mom was-
the guy's gonna bust a nut. You know what I
That's
mean?
probably why you have a pig ring.
So in between my mom having my sister Micaiah and my younger brother Mathis, she did like they were a little bit more serious at the time. Like they were a little more steady. They had a place. They were together. They were in this house for like a year, and my mom and him did discuss marriage, and then my dad went to prison again. So it's like,
Wait a second. That's
like,
between
again,
the fourth and fifth kid?
that was between the second and third.
Second and third. Okay. But you
Yeah.
can get married in
So-
prison. You can get married in prison. My guess is
Yeah, I mean-
my guess is that your mother was not super eager to put a ring on it because she felt like he was irresponsible. Right? So
And that may
and that's
be,
understandable. That's understandable, but that's also what made her want to have
Yeah, I
sex
mean,
with him. He was
and
it sounds to
again,
me like a charismatic guy.
I
Right?
mean,
Well, yeah, I mean,
he's
she-
getting
Yeah,
laid everywhere
yeah,
on
yeah.
from
he's as
coast to coast.
charismatic
He's
as a
getting
guy who can't
pussy.
read
So
is, you know, like I mean, he's as charismatic as a guy who can't read, because he can't read. But like,
tons
here's
of
the thing, right?
charismatic people couldn't read. Jesus Christ may not have been. Well, no, he could read. But
You don't have to
so-
know how to read to have 17 kids.
No. Yeah, of course. I'm just saying, like,
you
me
just got to figure out
personally,
where the
Facts.
hole is. Where
Facts.
is the hole?
Yeah, so like my thing is that like I again, my respect for my dad goes towards his growth, right? Because ultimately he didn't start off in a good place. And I see like that like some of the shit was out of his control, right? And I can respect that. But like
Yeah, yeah,
also for all the things that he did do, like me personally, I don't respect the gang life. I was never one for
But he
that
doesn't
shit.
either.
I
He doesn't either.
well, yeah, obviously, yeah, he doesn't.
Okay,
either.
so
My thing is though, like, if you don't respect something, right? Why are you doing it? You know what I mean? And I have that. And here's the thing: I had the criticism from my mom, like, why were you with this guy? Why did you make this mistake like 8 times? Because ultimately, like, I told my mom, like, you know, this
Right.
is a really shitty like decision.
'Cause
on
she's
your
a
end.
hoe.
Well, I don't think
she's a hoe.
I don't think she's a hoe. I just think
Well,
that he
I
is
mean,
an
look,
idiot.
Take us to a vote. Who thinks his mother is a hoe? Say aye.
I'm just saying, I think
your
my mom,
mother is.
I think my mom.
I think your mother has a lot of positive qualities,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it just seems to me like, well, you would say like. I mean, don't I want my kids?
hang on. No,
why,
I have.
Why wouldn't she lock it down? And the reason is because she
I
knows
think-
she treats him like a boy, and you don't want to get married to a boy. Okay, but then don't get pregnant by a boy either, right? Because
Well,
you
yeah,
can't
and
have
so
it both
my thing is-
ways.
Yeah, wait, I have a
So
question.
my mom-
I have a question for you, just really quick. Do you think that your resentment towards your dad is fueled by the fact that you feel like he left you in a position where you had to be the dad? In other words, if you had none of your siblings living with you and you were able to live your own free life, and your mother never parentified you and made you like their secondary dad because she couldn't keep him around, do you think you'd be as angry? Yeah, go ahead.
So my resentment for my dad comes from just his decision to continue to have kids, and the same thing with my mom. It's just the fact that my mom was there and he wasn't. That I have an issue with, but it's the fact that he continues to do what he does and doesn't try to like rectify it in any meaningful way. Me personally, I did all of the like dad growth that I needed to do through myself. Like I had to do all that through myself. So the only growth I'm going to get from my dad, I really do believe this. The only growth I'm going to get from my dad is learning how to forgive him for everything. And so here's the other thing, right? So my mom didn't just make me like she didn't just decide that I was going to be the parental figure, right? What happened was when I was 5 years old, my younger sister was lit on fire, right? A guy lit her on fire in front of me.
Whoa.
Yeah, so she
A
was
guy, a random guy, like at a park,
He
or
was
what?
like, I think he was like,
Bro, what the hell
I
is
think
going
he-
on with your family?
I think he was like 14. It was 4th of July. She was 2. I was 5. And yeah, a guy lit her on fire with a sparkler.
Well, how did this guy? Did he know you, or he just
I
walked
think
over?
I think he was like an.
He was like a what?
I think he crashed for a moment. I think he's out for a moment.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Getting lit, bro. What? Like what? What are you, Dexter Morgan?
What that? What?
Like,
What?
he's not
What?
saying
What
is
could
this is all
possibly
the
be the
mom's fault.
context of this story? A guy, a random
Yo.
guy at a 4th of July party, walked over from the neighborhood and lit his 2-year-old sister on fire. What?
Crazy.
Here's an idea. He might be lying.
I was
no,
just
bro,
thinking
that's-
that, but
that's
I don't
too
think so.
creative.
I don't think so.
He's-
I
that's
really
like-
don't
that's
think
like
so.
Too, like that's too creative.
That's-
Yeah, why would
You
he
know what I
lie
mean?
about
Like,
that
that's
too?
Yeah, like what's the point? What would be the
He
point?
might
Just a
be right.
random troll?
Yeah. Yeah. no,
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah,
Are you
guys,
surprised?
sorry, my mom got cut.
Oh
open
wait,
in
guys,
half by
but
a
while he's
train.
out, can we all agree? I don't know if you all saw him, but he's got an eyebrow piercing, a septum piercing, and something else. I don't think
Yeah.
he's gotten over his daddy issues. I'm just saying. I'm just
What do
saying,
you
as
guys-
a
what do you guys
female,
discuss
Wait, what
about?
do you mean?
as a female, a man
agree.
with facial piercings, especially in the eyebrow and a septum, looks kind of gay. Like he's got kind of problems. Just saying.
Super gay.
Just
super
saying.
gay.
I'm not seeing
mean,
like
yeah.
a
What do
you guys
totally
discussing,
healthy
like-
hetero guy here.
What's the debate? Like, what are you guys saying?
That he's gay.
Basically, at this point.
Yeah, I think it does increase the likelihood of being gay. Okay. What are you guys
I'm not
talking
saying he's
about?
necessarily gay,
Yeah,
but he
I
has.
think Cool Jeff, you're getting a little too
Let's just
defensive.
say issues with masculinity. I would say.
Oh, I
Riley
mean,
has a nice
That's
mustache.
a better way of putting it.
you could just define masculinity one way, and then it doesn't include your
He
piercings,
takes
and
it
that's
up the ass
trivially-
once a month.
He-
It's just trivially not masculine. Who cares? But like,
No,
what are
the
you guys
pig ring
talking about?
thing is gay even for women. When a guy has that, it's
Did
like,
he leave?
what the fuck is going
Fuck, he
on?
left. Maybe he'll come. Hopefully, he'll
But
come
what are you
back.
guys talking about, like more broadly?
No,
Like,
okay,
I
so
guess-
cool guy Jeff, me and my dad were hosting this room, and
that's your dad.
yeah, and
You're on
we
Discord with
were.
your dad. That's just weird, dude.
It's pretty lit, isn't it? We were trying to sell people the DaddyPill, which is the idea that basically a lot of modern people's issues in their life comes back to whether they have fundamental problems connecting with their biological father, especially for women, but also for men. And people don't realize it, and they go to therapy, and they go to psychotherapy, and they try to do all these things. They have bad relationships, and they can't figure out what their problem is. And our
Well, that's
theory
obviously
is
true.
that
No,
it
who
leads
disagrees with
back
that?
to your father, not your mother, but your father.
Wait, that's obviously true. Like, daddy issues cause psychological problems, right? But so do mommy issues. I think mommy issues are probably even worse. Like, if you have a mom that
That's
doesn't
interesting.
love you as a personality disorder, I think that people turn out way worse off.
Well,
Hello?
I
have-
think
Who would
I think
disagree with
the
what you-
I think the
Who would
difference.
disagree with what you?
Oh,
wait,
he's
Yeah.
back.
Who would
Either.
disagree with what you said there? Like,
My,
nobody
my
would
bad.
disagree.
My,
Oh, a lot of
my phone
people.
died,
A lot of people
man.
disagree with that. Oh, welcome back. A lot of people disagree with that. No, they say like, no, my dad.
Wait, disagree
No,
that daddy issues
Jeff.
cause
Jeff. A
problems?
lot of people say my parents, like, yeah, they were okay people, but they don't really have much to do with my life. They don't realize that, like, fundamentally, most of their problems can be traced back to their parents, and
Oh, are you
most
saying, like,
fundamentally, their
all- are
relationship
you
with their
saying most
father.
Problems? I mean, like, look, there are obviously going to be people that have okay parents, but their problems aren't related to their parents. Like, what are you even saying?
I think in almost every case, most people's problems lead back to their relationship with their father in one way
Well,
or
how do you know
another.
that?
Well,
Like,
most,
what's-
peop- most,
what's the reason
most
to believe
problems
that?
for most people. Most problems for most
Okay,
people.
wait, Voltava, we were in the middle of your 2-year-old sister getting lit on fire by a random 14-year-old. Can you explain that story, please?
Mhm.
Look, I'm just like,
Yeah, I'm so baffled.
what you said was an empirical claim. How do you know that? Like, what's your reasoning to believe that?
It's a theory. It's a theory, but give me one example of a person having
and I have a
problems
theory that I think frogs
wouldn't
cause
go
all
back to your
psychological
fundamental
problems.
relationship with your father. What did you
Okay,
say?
but I have a theory that all frogs cause all psychological problems. Like, there's no reason to believe it, so who cares? You can have a theory about anything. Like, why do you believe it?
Shut up, troll faggot.
Juice, don't say the F
Exactly, shut the
slur.
hell
Juice, don't
up,
say the F
please.
slur.
Actually, Jeff is actually kind of qualified to speak on this, so I would take it seriously.
Yeah, like, why is your theory true? I
Well,
don't
because
get it. Like, is it just like an intuition?
because for women, a woman's like main function in life is to relate to a man in terms of like getting a husband, and if she doesn't have a good relationship with her father, she will have an eternal series of bad relationships with men, which is the most important thing in a woman's life, right?
Granted. Okay.
And for men,
Maybe not the function
the most
part, but,
important
like,
thing is
obviously-
dealing with masculinity and learning how to be men. And if they don't have a good role model with their dad, or they don't learn that from him, they don't have that connection, then they will also have an
Yeah,
endless
okay, look,
series of
obviously-
bad relationships and struggling with masculinity. So I think that's a
listen,
reasonable
listen,
theory.
Listen,
That-
that's granted. All that's granted. The question I'm asking you is, how do you know that most or all of these psychological problems are related to those type of dynamics? I'm not denying those dynamics. They're obviously true. Who would deny that? But you're
A
trying
lot
to
of
say your
people would
theory is
deny
I-
that. A lot of people would deny that.
Okay, well, that's crazy. They're just retards, okay? But I'm not denying that. I'm asking you why you think that most or all problems are related to daddy issues. That's the question.
I mean, it's a theory, but it's just we've talked to a lot of
But why do
people,
you
and it
believe
tends
the
to always
theory?
go back to
You
that.
come from your parents. Obviously,
It's the most
of your
fundamental
problems
relationship in
come
your
from
life, so
parents.
therefore it's
Okay,
it's
okay, that's
reasonable
fair.
to think that
Here's
your
the thing,
problems
right?
could stem
with
from
the
that.
whole
So I had
let's be hold on, cool guy, because maybe I can shed some light on this. I think what they're saying is that if your parents don't set you up correctly, right, you're going to make bad calls. You're going to make bad calls, and it's going to be because you weren't set up properly, right? Like if you're programming in like internal, if your internal programming is like fucked up from the start, you're going to make bad calls. You're going to act you're not going to behave properly.
But you can
You're
get
going
out of
to-
them. But you can get out of that
that's
pattern.
Yeah, sure, you can.
That's
So
obviously
I
true.
think that's
Nobody's
kind of what they're
disagreeing
saying
with
is that if your parents don't set you up for success, you're going to have a much harder time to succeed.
Granted, all that's granted, but their claim is much more like profound.
I know
than that.
it's
They're
much
saying
more
that-
direct. Much more direct.
Well,
Okay,
it's a
like, there's a bad
specific
way
view of how it gets messed up and then how it can get fixed.
I know, but the claim that you guys are making is that it's most or all the time it's from this pathway. Okay, obviously that pathway exists, and I think she gave kind of an answer. She said she talks to most people, and most times she figures out there's a daddy issue. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least a little bit reason to believe in the theory. But is this something that's like borne out in the evidence, or is it just kind of like your?
Well, if you look at, for example, the Christian religion, it's very easy to see it as simply saying that you need to reconnect with your Father in heaven, which would mean that in some ways the father figure is the most important figure.
Okay, so you're saying that all these psychological problems is because they don't believe in the Christian God? Like pick a theory, man.
No. I mean, I'm just saying that it is borne out in the dominant religion on earth, that connecting with the Father. I'm just saying that's just some evidence, but
That's
no
just
one
kind of
has
like-
to believe in the daddy pill. It's just
Freud
I'm
said
saying
the
it
same
works.
thing.
It works. It works.
Yeah, but like your daughter said, it was about connection with biological father. So what is it? Is it about God or biological
Yes,
father?
but there's a reason that God is called the Father with a capital F. And
Wait, but the
it's not
God
just
isn't your
arbitrary.
biological father, right? Which is it?
You know, actually, in Catholic theology, in Christian theology, God is more of a father than your
but
biological.
he's not a
father.
biological father, right? But he's not.
He's
a
more
biological
of a
father,
father.
But he's not a biological father.
Well,
right?
he is actually a biological father in the sense that his penetration into creation is what created
Did
human
the father
beings.
put his dick in your mom and then put
God the
sperm into
Father
your mom?
created biology and
Well,
everything.
I'm
he's
saying if you
responsibility.
want to, like, I put my dick in Grace's mother. Okay,
Grace,
but
is your
that's
dad
just
drunk right now?
that's nothing compared to him creating creation. I mean,
Grace, is your dad
he's
drunk?
doing all the work.
Can you like Smith smells breath for me?
So
Look,
What?
when I say
You're so
biological
Well,
father, I
cool
mean
guy Jeff. It's
human
like
being
fine.
that
It's
put
fine
his-
if you go like, I don't really know how this is interesting. Okay, then you're like,
Look,
you
you're
can
just
say
dodging
like,
the question.
okay, I don't know what to
Biological
tell you if it's not
By
interesting.
biological father, all I mean is that it's a human being putting his dick inside of a woman or artificially inseminates a woman and then a child is born. That's what I mean. I'm not saying like who
Yeah,
caused
so we all
biology. I'm
agree
not
with
talking
the
about who's
basics of
your father.
biology. But if you want to say God is not a father, I mean,
I didn't say that. I said
okay.
I asked you if he's the biological father. The obvious answer is no.
No, the
So
answer
my
is yes.
question
But
to
he's a
you is-
biological father, but not genitally.
Okay, by biological father, all I mean, and what everybody
God
means,
doesn't have a
is
penis.
what we
Yes, okay, but what's the
commonly
point? What's
mean
the point?
when we say who's the point is like, is this about have problems with your biological father or your godfather?
I don't. I
Well,
think
God
for
the
girls-
Holy Spirit is a biological father. He impregnated Mary.
That's kind of true. Yeah, that is kind of true.
Okay, but we're doing okay. But Grace's claim was about problems with your biological father.
Right.
And by biological
So-
father, we mean the person who puts
Someone
pee-pee
brought up
in
Mary
your
and
mom's-
Catholic square.
in your mom's vagina and then bore you, to animal you. Okay, that's what we mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, if that's not what you mean,
So,
okay, fine. But
I-
just
I
tell me
think-
what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, so you want me to clarify that I don't think that God, the Father, has a penis that he puts inside of women. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, he's-
But we
Right,
all know
then-
that,
then-
so okay.
Then you're talking about.
But he is our
something different than what
biological
Grace is
father.
talking about.
He created all of us and all of creation. So
Oh.
He
he's
created
the ultimate-
biology. He created
Volta-
everything.
Voltava's father is a baller in some ways because he's got 16 beautiful kids. Okay, but he pales in comparison with God, who created all of creation, who therefore is seen as a father. So
It's a really weird way.
I do
to
think
understand
there's a
being.
connection, but okay.
I think we're all genetically related to Adam and Eve. I think that's a good thing. I mean, because of human flesh being imperfect, that's a poor comparison to make to God the Father.
What do you mean it's a poor comparison? Wait, you're Saint Tony Aquinas, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you know that Thomas Aquinas, you should read about this, that Thomas Aquinas made it very clear that by saying, I'm Grace's father, that's actually not, and people think like, oh, we call God the Father, so it's like I'm her father. No, I'm like God is her father. I pale in comparison of his fatherhood. he's more a father than I am. Right?
Well, I call a priest father. Doesn't mean I'm genetically related to him.
I know that. But you don't understand
Amen,
what I'm
man.
saying.
Amen.
Like the analogy, people think we say God, we see God as a father, as an analogy or like a way to understand God, but it's not really very accurate about God because he doesn't have a penis, etc. But it's actually the backwards of it. She calls me a father, or you call a priest a father, as a pale instance of, because we have a tiny little sliver of the fatherhood of God the Father. So I'm just saying, it's hard to see that, but like that's really important to understand.
See what? It doesn't make any sense. What you just said.
It does make sense. It does make sense. In other words, I only participate a little bit in fatherhood. It's my fatherhood only pales in comparison to God's fatherhood of grace.
Look,
And I know that's hard to wrap your brain around, but it does. You can't just say.
Tails. Making emphasis on words doesn't do anything. Like you're saying the same thing, but you're just emphasizing different words now. That doesn't make any sense.
No, because
like
I think most people understand. Like they say, like, oh, we're talking about God, but we'll just use this idea. He's a father, but he's as much a mother as he is a father. He's neither male nor female. But like, no, that's wrong.
No, God's a male. God is a male.
What?
Well,
Ben,
God
God
in his
Only
interactions
Christians
with
understand this.
God in his interactions
God is perfect
with
in every way, right?
mankind
God would be a perfect.
is has a masculine quality. In the economy of salvation, God goes out from himself. He doesn't receive, right? He's not receptive like a woman would be. So it's not arbitrary that we just rolled the dice and say God is a father. No. In our relationship with him, he's a father, and we receive him. When you kneel down and you open yourself to the Holy Spirit, you are acting like a bitch, right? You're saying like, I want my soul to be like a vagina that receives and is penetrated by God. And I'm sorry if you don't like that. I'm sorry if you don't like that imagery, but it's the imagery of
that's why the church is the bride of Christ. I mean, this is perfect theology.
Okay. We need hold on. We need one at a time.
Not ready for it.
We need one at a time. Jason, you wanted to say something? Go ahead, Jason.
Snow, please, God, please, Snow. I'm appealing to my God right now.
All right, here's the deal. We've gotten a lot of complaints about the two of you within the server due to whatever the situation is. I really don't care what it is. Can you guys just keep it strictly on like politics and religion if you're here to argue and not talk about whatever the fuck is going on?
It's been only politics and only religion.
That's other people who.
We're not talking about our personal stuff at all. Nope. Yeah, we're good with that.
I can attest to that. I've been here for like an hour and a half, and it has been 90% politics and religion.
Yeah, it's been mostly politics
and psychology, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the effects of the if you consider like socioeconomics, the politics, then yeah, that's politics, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Snow, it's all been streamed, so you can go back and watch it. It's all been politics and religion.
That's fair. I just want to be clear.
No problem.
I don't care what is going on in their personal life. I really don't care as long as they're here to contribute to the community in a politics and religion way.
We're not trolling. Yes, we're not trolling.
Okay, so it was that guy left. Okay. Did we finish with Voltava? He was the one who was talking about.
This is like a multiple day story, so like we can be done with mine if you want.
Yeah, sure. I would just say, I would just say to you, if you would, want to see it this way, if you kind of redo like all of the history that you've come, like that's gotten you to this point, and try to see it in light of being sympathetic to your father maximally, just as an experiment. And being, more critical of your mother. But I get that you're, like, in a good place.
Listen, let me put it for you like
I
this.
think you may find that your life becomes much easier. And so...
Let me put it for you like this, right? The criticisms that I have from my dad, I also have from my mom. It's just that my dad wasn't there, which means that I don't have as much positive to give him. So, like when you have, right, 50%, or when you have, like, 50 bad things and like one good thing versus like 50 bad things and 50 good things, it's kind of like, I can't give him as much credit.
No, right? So your big thing is your daddy wasn't there for me, right? But what I'm saying is,
I think ultimately
maybe
I have more issues
daddy
with my
wasn't
mom.
able to live with your mother, and that has nothing to do with him being there for you.
Well, yeah, and
Daddy
You know what I'm
wasn't
saying?
there because your mom is a hoe.
Okay, well, okay, I don't know about that, but ultimately the thing is that like I think I would say I have more issues with my mom, right? I have more issues with my mom than I do my dad because my dad just isn't part of my life. It's not that I have a negative relationship with my dad. I just don't have a relationship with my dad.
Yeah,
So
I know.
when
I
it
know.
comes-
I know what you're
he was
saying, but
talking
like,
to you on the phone.
if you had like say 10 things and
yeah, I mean,
9 or
it's
5 are
rebuilding.
positive about
It's
your
slowly
mom, 5,
rebuilding, by the way.
even you have 100 things about your mom, you'd have the same view. It would just be if you know what I'm saying. That's how it works. If you're like
And-
50-50
and I don't
on
have
both of
enough
them, it
stuff
wouldn't
to
matter.
give him.
It wouldn't matter if your dad had died. You would have 50-50, 50-50. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You're trying
Well,
to
yeah, and
say
for the
that
weird-
it's because you spend more time with your mother that you have more data and therefore you're more sympathetic with her.
Yeah.
But actually, that wouldn't be true. It depends how you're interpreting the data. You're more sympathetic with your mother because she, in your mind, she was there for you and daddy wasn't there for you. And what I'm saying is, I wonder whether daddy couldn't be there for you because your mother treated him like a child and didn't respect him. And he
Well, he
got
also
sick of
kept
it.
going
And
to
I
prison, right?
actually think that that is what happened.
Well, wait, but it's not like his dad moved out. His dad kept going to jail, to prison. That's different.
Well, eventually
and
he
so
left.
Well, so here's the thing,
No,
right? Like
no,
ultimately,
sure.
like I respect the man I am today. I think I've done a lot of good growth, and I gotta say, if my dad, who like thought it was cool to like fuck 16-year-olds and gangbang and shit, I think if he was in my life, I'd be a worser off man. I'd be a more pathetic man.
But could you be wrong about that? Because I've seen you. You've got a nose ring, your hair is messy, and you got a pretty shitty job. I'm not sure. And I could say you could say, well, you know, that's pretty good. There's a lot of positivity there. But could you be wrong? Could it be that you'd be a much better man if you were closer with your dad? That's all I'm saying.
I work.
Hold on,
So
what
let's
is
be clear,
your
hold on,
job?
hold on, let's just be clear. I work as a DoD contractor, right? I work as a DoD contractor.
Oh yeah, that's a good job. Yeah.
I get paid a pretty good amount.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, but
what I'm
the
saying is, like,
septum
I'm not trying to throw
piercing and
shade
the
on.
earring
I'm not trying to
criticism
wait. I'm
still
not trying to
stands.
throw shade on you, but like,
by the
okay,
way, the
you
cultural
say
thing
if I had a
where-
closer relationship with my dad, I'd have a worse life. Could you be wrong about that?
I absolutely could be, but what I do know is like what I have is the data that I have now. I'm a good man now, which is all I need. You know, like again, I think the most.
What
that I
I'm
can
saying
benefit
is,
from my
well,
dad is
let me
forgiving.
put it to you this way: you're able to contact your dad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you sent him a bunch of text messages that are really supportive of him, why would you not do that?
Buddy. Oh, hey, is the air conditioner out? Hold
Gee, that's
You might
beautiful, man.
It doesn't mean you have to like say he's a great guy in every way, but if you said like, I really admire that you've been part of my life, I really admire that you are part of your kids' lives, I really kind of understand how mom seemed to have treated you like a child, may have treated you like in a way that you couldn't take it, and that really had nothing to do with me, and to the extent that I've been sort of angry with you, I'm wrong. What's the harm of doing that?
Well, because like if he doesn't believe that he's wrong, maybe he feels justified having certain feelings towards his dad.
But I said things with him. He's open to it, like that his mom did kind of treat his dad
Sorry.
like a child.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm back. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? Ultimately, I'm pretty proud of the man I've become. I'm in shape. I work hard. I do all the things that a man's supposed to. Yeah, I got a nose piercing and shit. Don't judge a book by its cover, though. I mean,
Why'd you get a nose piercing?
You know,
I will absolutely judge you by your pig nose. Fucking faggot.
No, Jews.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna serve you for a couple minutes.
I can speculate, right? I could speculate what would have happened if my dad was in my life, right? I could, or I could get the fuck over it. I could get over it. I could forgive the guy and keep it pushing.
But why are you so sure that he shouldn't forgive you, and that you should forgive
I'm
him?
A kid. I have no obligations to the man. When you bring a child into your life, that kid has no obligations to you.
Really?
Zero, zip, zilch, nothing.
You don't owe your
Nope,
father
nothing.
respect?
I mean, this is just gas.
Well, hold on, respectfully, I give people respect because I think I should.
I'm gaslighting
right?
him?
But ultimately, I don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah, you kidding me?
What does that mean?
telling you it's
How's it?
experience.
Do you know what the definition of the
tell
word
you, look.
gaslighting is?
Yeah, I do. So the way that you're doing it, you're saying like, look, you're expressing this point of view about how a dynamic is, and you're saying, well, maybe you should doubt that. Maybe you should like doubt the way that you're perceiving this interaction, and maybe like your feelings, negative feelings, just aren't
How's that
correct. Maybe, like, you're just,
gaslighting? I'm just suggesting that maybe he has something wrong. Yeah.
I mean,
Look,
I think what Ben is trying to do is offer a different perspective.
Well, I mean, that's like saying, like, to an atheist, you should consider Christianity, and then the atheist going, "You're gaslighting me." It's not. The term is not gaslighting.
No, I'm telling you why. Look, the reason why it's gaslighting is because you have no reason to believe the way that he laid out the dynamic is false, or that his
Yes, I
reasoning
do,
is,
because
like,
he conceded many of the points when I asked him questions. He conceded the points. Obviously, if he wants to control the narrative, I only know what he's telling me. So
okay, so what did he concede? I didn't hear.
What am I? I'm just suggesting that maybe he's reading this through a certain lens that it may not add up as well as another way of reading it.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, I mean, when I've heard him talk, all I heard him say is that, like, look, his dad treated him in a certain way. It was wrong, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, he forgave, but he's over it, right? Like, it sounded like to me that you were doubting that he, like, read the situation properly.
Right. Yes.
Right? I mean,
Yes,
what
that's
evidence,
he
what
was
evidence do you
doubting
have
that.
for
Yeah, and I think that is very understandable that happens. I think it happens a lot, but I don't think that that's gaslighting. What the fuck?
Before everybody talks for me, real quick. Before everybody talks for me, real quick. Let me just be clear on how I view this, right? So that there's no like misconceptions, right?
Yeah, please.
I do not care why somebody's not in my life, right? As a parent, you don't have the right to not be in your kid's life. You do everything you can to be.
All right, let's take that. Let's take that one. Let's take that one.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me just finish so there's no misconceptions. So, howdy. So, right, as a parent, right, there's no acceptable reason. Doesn't matter if the sun is in between you and your kid, you get to your kid, and if you fail to do that, you fail to do that.
Okay,
right?
can I give you? Wait. Okay, can we just stop right there
instead
of the whole speech? What if the mother of your kids has taken a restraining order out against you based on a lie? Are you supposed to remain in communication with your kids at that point?
He was already okay with going to prison. He could have broke that.
Can you answer this? Can you just answer
Just
the question?
hypothetically, not related to you or us.
If one parent, doesn't have to be a mother, but like if a parent makes it like that you're going to go to jail if you communicate with your kids, or even so much as text them, are you supposed to go to jail?
No, that would be a good reason to not go to jail. Yeah, but look, I thought this guy was supposed to clear up his view. Are you doubting that you feel that your dad did something wrong to you? Are you doubting that?
Me? Oh,
yeah, you.
I'm saying it doesn't matter why my dad wasn't in my life. He wasn't in my life, and that's okay. I'm okay with that now.
Well, but you're not okay with it. You just said, come hell or high water, a parent must be in their child's life.
Are you doubting,
and now you say you don't care.
Are you doubting that your dad? Are you doubting that your dad did something wrong?
My dad did do something. He did do something.
Okay, great. So he's not doubting. So he didn't contradict himself. That's why I think it's gaslighting.
No, I'm not doing the gaslighting thing. Cool guy, Jeff.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, it's enough.
Oh, there we go.
What happened?
We got banned.
We did? From what?
I think so. From politics and religion. Let's see, what did we get banned for? You were banned. Pedo grooming, talking about incest with his daughter on camera together using slurs in VC. Well, that's not true. So.
See, the devil. I mean, come on. No one could possibly argue.
I mean, all of that was streamed. Well, there we go.
Well, you could just say none of that is true.
Yeah, but it's not like we're detained. Let me see. What are the commands? Oh, no. Let me... let's see. Let's ask Grodark. Grodark, can you please help me I got banned from PNR.
He's not in PNR, is he?
Yes, he is.
Oh.
He's like mainly in PNR. Screenshot. I was hosting my own room, and it was all streamed. I didn't do any of this, and when people said slurs, I server muted them. Can you help me appeal? Or something. Oh well. Rip. Rip.
That was interesting.